Hi, good morning. It's the 28th of January, and I'm taking a short break from my very intensive research that I'm doing at the moment because the sky has just demanded it. And I looked at the transits this morning. I thought I've got to do a video on this. So here I am. Right, we're going to talk about Mars Pluto. This is a mega conjunction between two very potent symbols. However, it happens below the horizon, it happens in the underworld. And so it has to be understood that there is no outer or obvious resonance with it. But a lot has happened underneath that will change things in time. This is not one of those aspects or conjunctions that gives you this instant recognizable event. What this does is it just gives you hints because it's all just bubbling underneath the radar. But make no mistake, it's making really strong changes, all to do with the death of things and the birth of things. But as I say, it's underneath, and you really have to kind of know what you're looking for. Or you may have noticed something in your own personal experience just recently over the last few days. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at some stuff. I've made up a few things for you to see. And so, first of all, we'll do the share and we are going to look at today's transits. Right, here we are. So, we've got Pluto here and we've got Mars here. They're both at 3 degrees of Aquarius. Now, this symbol here, Aquarius, you'll see there's quite a lot of it. So we've got a lineup of planets in there at the moment. I'll just read them off for you. So that's Venus, that's Mercury, that's an asteroid called Vesta. The Sun, a symbol that goes back, 10, 12,000 years, and Pluto and Mars. And you'll notice that we have quite a lineup in this sector of the sky. We've got some stuff moving into Aries over here, but beyond this quadrant, so that's a quarter of the sky, there's not a lot. The moon will fill it. But anyway, aside from that, okay, now I've got this set actually to yesterday's date. That's right. So because the actual Pluto Mars conjunction happens during these 2 days. It happens right in the middle of them, and it depends where you're living as to whether or not it actually moved over on the 27th or the 28th. But anyway, right now I'm going to stop sharing that, and I'm now going to talk about this conjunction. But what I want to do first of all, I think, is I've just made up a table for you to look at. I always find it clarifies things and clears my mind. And if you'd like to see it, then why not? So I'm going to share again. And this time we're looking at a Word doc. Okay. Right. So heading Mars, there is the glyph for Mars if you're learning astrology. I'd like to throw these things in so you get used to them. Pluto, the Mars-Pluto cycle. Now, Mars doesn't take a long time to go around the sun, 2 years, something like that. And so the cycle of these two planets having a conjunction, that is being together and then separating, and Mars going all the way around and then coming back to join Pluto once more, doesn't take a massive amount of years. In fact, if we look at this particular example, we've got, I put the 28th of January in there. As I say, it's 27th, 28th, depending where you live. So looking at that conjunction there, which is 0 degrees apart, so they're right on top of each other. And then going to the next one, as you can see, it's just about 2 years. Okay, right. So I'll just explain a bit to you. I'm just going to explain a bit about conjunctions, actually. I'll stop the share for a moment. So conjunctions and then the separation into the opening square and then down the bottom opposite the so the opposition, can you believe? And then the closing square, and then that. Every single time any planet, all planets do this, they are going through an opening of something, and the cycle is working through with that particular theme, and then it comes to a closure, and then it opens another cycle. Now we can see this on a really regular basis if we look at the sun and the moon. So we get something like 28 days where the moon leaves the sun, goes all around and comes back to it. And we get the new moon when they're conjunct at the top, and we get the full moon when they're absolutely opposite to each other in the sky, to about 2 weeks later, something like that. Now, the sun moon cycle is probably the most noticeable and the most hallowed, if you like, the most observed of the cycles. But it's always interesting to go into two other planets and grab the meaning. So with Pluto, we've got the underworld. We've got life itself generating more life. And in order to do so, overseeing the death of certain things so that other things can be born, so that there can be new life. So that take Pluto, okay, now that's, as we all know, that is an atomic force. This is a really strong, um, uh, really obvious. I'm going to say really obvious. It's not. It's a very strong and determined and unstoppable force. That's much better word to say. It's an unstoppable. Pluto will ensure that life continues no matter what. And I don't know if there's anything else that is as strong as Pluto in making sure that this is what happens. Life itself must always continue. There will always be new life. There will be death within that life, but it will always be reborn. Okay, now Mars is really just, it's a cosmic energetic force. So it's a bit like adrenaline or testosterone. It gives it a shot of energy and a strong shot. Mars represents war. So when you get these two together, Pluto and Mars, what you're getting is a sudden shot into the generator, the symbolism for the generation of life itself and the path that life will take. So in the last few hours, we've had those two go exact. That exact moment isn't always going to be the moment of ha-ha. In actual fact, because we're dealing with a water planet, and this is so important to know, Pluto is a water planet, and water, the feminine, works in the dark. It works underneath. It pulls in. So to use a water planet for timing purposes is just not going to work, because water is sneaky, moves around like the serpent, and it will take its time with when that event, which the two planets seem to be symbolizing, when will it happen? And what I'm going to say actually is that it happens in a very small and insignificant way, but it is the key piece of the jigsaw to the whole of the jigsaw changing. So let's just think about what that means to you in real life. So there can be a tiny moment when you're on a particular path dealing with a particular event, you've got a particular thing going on, and there is this tiny little moment where something just goes click and you've turned a corner. Now, you may not even know that you've turned the corner. You may be in a monthly kind of competition or contest, or in a power struggle, or it could be in relationship, it could be at work, career, it could be with your children, your parents, and it could be kind of ongoing and ongoing. However, if you're looking for a resolution, then it can come when Mars conjuncts Pluto if these two planets are involved in it. But it may not be at that moment that the separation occurs. It may not be at that moment that the rebirth occurs. It may not be at that moment that the birth itself occurs and something else. But at that moment will be that tiny, sudden realization that this can't go on, or this tiny moment of suddenly taking on a whole new vision. Suddenly, a door is opened, or a window opens, but you can't do a lot about it at that moment. It's not, this is not about the action that Mars would normally bring, which is an immediate action. It's about the action to Pluto and what's happening in the underworld underneath it all. That's changing. The overworld obvious event will be at a different time, quite likely. Okay, so having explained all that, I will now go back to what I was going to share with you before. And there it is. Okay, so let's share that, right. Okay, so here we go, Pluto cycle. So I've put the dates here, but these are rough dates because it can be 27th, 28th, or 25th, 26th, or 27th. It's around these dates, so don't take them as gospel. It depends where you live and what time zone you're in. Okay, so the conjunction, just for those if you're learning astrology, it's always good to look at this stuff. A conjunction is 0 degrees apart. The planets are on top of each other, and that is the symbol for conjunction. And this is occurring at 3 degrees of Aquarius, and that is the glyph or the symbol for Aquarius. That actually is magic water in Egypt. Okay, so then we've got the 26th of May this year. So we're still in 2026, and we've got the square aspect 90 degrees apart. So they've made like a quarter. So Mars has moved a quarter of the sky away from Pluto. And by now, Pluto is at 5 degrees of Aquarius. Now, Mars is somewhere else at 90 degrees, but I've just given you Pluto's particular positions there. Okay, so then we move to the 3rd of October, still in 2026, and now we've got the opposition. So 180 degrees apart. They're one is one side of planet Earth, one is the other side of planet Earth. This is just like a full moon. It's the opposition aspect. Pluto is at 3 degrees Aquarius, and quite obviously then Mars is in Leo at that point because Leo is the opposite sign to Aquarius. Okay, 10th of September. Now, this is a big gap. We go from the 3rd of October through to the 10th of September 2027 before we get the 90-degree square aspect or the closing square because Mars is moving upwards back towards Pluto. That's because of the retrograde cycle, Mars's retrograde cycle. So that then happens at 5 degrees Aquarius. Now, look, 3 degrees Aquarius, 5 degrees Aquarius, 3 degrees Aquarius, 5 degrees Aquarius. Can you see the kind of pattern that's going on there? Then just to finish off, I'll take you to the next one, which is 12th of January 2028. And we have a conjunction again, 0 degrees apart, another conjunction, and this time it's 6 degrees of Aquarius. So what I've done is I've gone from one conjunction to the theme or whatever it is that is sort of surrounding the issues that are being affected or symbolized by these two planets. They will be worked on, and you'll get activity around that around the 26th of May. But remember, it happens underground. You may not see at once what's happening. And then you get the opposition where you will see quite a bit because they're in opposite sides of our planet, just like the full moon, where you have quite light all night because the moon is reflecting the sun's light. And so you can really see a lot that night in the darkness. There is light. And it's that's exactly how it is, really. You're seeing something you never saw before. You can see it clearly. And then the closing square where more adjustment is made, and then it's all put to bed. And the next opening of the next cycle is the one where you're beginning something else. Okay, a new cycle. Okay, stop sharing. Right, there we go. Now, I'm hoping that is useful for you to understand what particular events in your life on the world stage might be being reflected at the moment in this cycle that is pretty much beginning around this time. So we can't, for instance, pick out things that have been going on for months and months. We would really kind of have to, well, the issues themselves could have been going on for months and months, but if we're going to look at this particular cycle that's just started and track it to give us predictions for the future, then we would really have to look at this time as being that time when that small little event happens, that tiny little click. And then we will see later revealed the issues and what Pluto's intentions are now going to be in terms of this has to change. Now, Pluto takes everything and changes it into what it must become, but that can sometimes be against our will. We sometimes want to hang on to things. We'd like to hang on to all the stuff and have it all jangling around us and cluttering us up as we move through life. But Pluto knows that really isn't realistic. We do have to have more growth. And in that case, we have to let go of some of the old stuff. So, because we've got here a feminine and masculine planet, we've got the feminine Pluto, which normally is not particularly good at timing. Its transits can take 2 or 3 years, and it can be at any point in that 2 or 3 years that we get activity in it. It's not going to be when Pluto is exact to something. But because we've got the masculine planet of Mars coming in, we've got something of an activity around it. So you might be able to pick out some stuff. I'm just looking over here now to see. Oh, right. So I've written down here. This the Pluto Mars thing is pretty much like an underground rupture. So there's an underground rupture, and do you know that that pipe has been ruptured underground? So let's say it's a water supply pipe in your street coming to your house. It's just ruptured. Well, you're not going to see the water yet, are you? Because the water has to seep up from underneath, and then it has to work its way and start to escape on the road, going down the road sort of thing. And there's a little sort of an opening where the water is bubbling up. If you're lucky, it might be a geyser, but over here it's just a little trickle of water because our water is not that powerful. Anyway, thank you. Please, will you follow me on my WhatsApp channel? This is embarrassing. I only need 100 followers. It's a new thing. WhatsApp's got channels now, and I've got one. I only need 100 followers to do something or other to start with, and I've only got 50. Nobody wants to go on my WhatsApp channel. Will you please, even if you don't want to hear anything from me, will you please just give me a follow on my WhatsApp channel? I'm going to put the link to it in the chat below. So please look for that and do click on and give me a follow. Honestly, otherwise I'm just going to have to give up otherwise. So, I like doing it. It's kind of fun, and I like writing, and I'm writing again for it. And I do prefer writing actually. Anyway, thank you for that if you do. And please buy my book, The Easy Way to Learn Astrology. I have to say that because they've got That's my latest book. So if you wouldn't mind buying it, I would be thrilled to pieces if you could do that as well. You can get it on Amazon. God, that's it. I've done my sales speech now. I'm off. Oh, I put black on. Did you notice? Talking about Pluto. Oh well, I'm going to shut up now. It's been lovely to chat to you again. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Hope you did. Mwah. Love you all. Thank you. Bye.